Now, let's see what God is telling him as a prophet, according to chapter 33, verse 1. Now, when you take the Quran, it doesn't mean God is as afraid of Muhammad as a human being. That is why he cannot say, Ya Muhammad. No. He gave him 2 assignments. So he has to let him know on which assignment he is talking to him and what he wants him to do on which assignment. So since he has a messengership duty and a prophethood duty, God has to speak to him according to the positions he has. So here, God is speaking to him as a prophet. Now listen. Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, taqullaha wa la tuti'il kafirina wal munafiqin. Then he says, Inna Allah kana aliman hakima. Then it goes, wattabi'i ma yuha ilayka min rabbik. Then he says, Inna Allah kana bima ta'maluna khabira. Then it goes, watawakkal ala Allahi wa kafa billahi wakila. Now, what does the verse mean? It says, oh, you prophet. It's talking to Muhammad as a what? Prophet in these verses. It says, oh, you prophet, beware of God. That is, reference God. Have the respect for God. And do not obey the disbelievers and the hypocrites. Don't obey them when they give you any command. And it says, indeed, God is omniscient and wise. Verse 2, and follow, listen carefully, as a prophet, and follow what has been inspired to you from your Lord. Indeed, God is conversant with what you do. Verse 3, and rely on God, for sufficient is God as a representative. So if God is representing for you, you have no problem. Now this is the prophet himself. God is telling him this. Good. There's a reason why I'm bringing into all these evidences. Now we go to same chapter, then we go to verse 45, then we read downwards. Then we see what assignment was the prophet given by God as a prophet. Chapter 33, verse 45 to verse 47, this is what it says. It says, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, inna arsalnaka shahidan wa mubashiran wa nazira. Verse 46, wa da'iya ila Allahi bi iznihi wa sirajan munira. Then verse 47, then it says, wa bashirul mu'minina bi anna lahum min Allahi fadlan kabira. The verse says, oh, you prophet. It's talking to Muhammad as a prophet again. Oh, you prophet, indeed, we have sent you as a witness, a missionary, and a warner. Now, listen carefully. Oh, you prophet, indeed, we have sent you as a witness. He was with a group of people, that is the Arabs. He was among the Arabs. So as a prophet, he was sent as a witness. He was among them. You can never witness something you have not seen with your eye. Yes. Some ignorant people will say the prophet it will be an intercessor. It will intercede for them on the day of judgment because he is the witness. Are you kidding me? How can a dead man witness what you are doing now? But let's go on. Indeed, we have sent you as a witness, that is to his people. A missionary, somebody who heralds you, gives you a sign of what is to come, right? A good news, or it can be good news or bad news, but it's a missionary. And a warner, somebody who warns you, cautions you, right? Because he knows something from God you don't know, so he can caution you. As well as an inviter to God, Allah. He invites you to God, not to his sunnah. Listen carefully. He's not inviting you, come and follow my sunnah, as the hypocritical scholars are doing to you. He's inviting you to God, Allah, by his what? Permission, by the permission of God. And as an illuminating lamp, because his people were in the darkness. So he has to invite them and bring them to the light. So go to chapter 14, verse 1. It is confirmed there. The reason why God gave him the book to be among the people and bring them out of the darknesses into the light. That is why he was given the Quran. Now, verse 47 says, so give good news to the believers, not to everybody, to the believers, because they will believe he is a prophet. Give good news to the believers because they have a great favor from God. Now, this was when Muhammad was alive. So now God is telling him to give good news to the believers, not us, the believers at his time. Yes, because he's a prophet on duty. So he's being told what to do. This was when he was alive. Now, We can see Muhammad as a prophet being instructed by God. So now check, at the time when he was alive, what did the believers do? According to chapter 8, verse 64, let's see what the believers did at his time. Chapter 8, verse 64. It says, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, hasbukallahu wa man ittaba'aka minal mu'minin. O you prophet, sufficient for you is Allah, and whoever follows you of the believers. You get it? They followed him, not the ones who followed his sunnah. Listen carefully. They followed him because he was there with them at that time. Good. Now, when you go to chapter 7, verse 158, this is what the prophet as a messenger, because he had two duties, this is what he said. Chapter 7, verse 158. He says what? Qul Ya ayyuhan nasu inni rasulullahi ilaykum jami'an. But when it comes to the messengership duty, he's a messenger to all of the world. Because the Quran goes to every part of the world. That is the message of the messenger. You get the point? But as a prophet, he was with the Arabians. As a prophet. Now, Ya ayyuhan nasu inni rasulullahi ilaykum jami'an. Lazi lahum mulku samawati wal ard. La ilaha illa huwa yuhi wa yumit. Then he says what? Fa'aminu billahi wa rasulihi. Then he says nabiyil ummi. Then he says lazi yuminu billahi wa kalimatihi wattabi'uhu la'allakum ta'tadun. So this is the reason why the believers at that time followed the prophet. They were with him. Because this prophet himself is a messenger at the same time. But as a prophet, he believes in the words of God. This is what God is telling you. An-nabiyyu ummi lazi yuminu billahi wa kalimatihi. He believes in God and the words of God. Then God says what? Wattabi'uhu la'allakum ta'tadun. So now the believers at his time, they followed him. And then what? They will be guided because he himself is being asked to follow the words of God. That is chapter 33, verse 2. He's been commanded to follow the inspiration God has given him, not to follow his own personal opinion. Good. So now the Quran and the Sunnah. First of all, the scholars will be lying to you that prophet, apart from the Quran, you have to follow his Sunnah. There's nothing like that. It's a lie. There's nothing like Sunnah to Nabi in the Quran. It's an invention, interpolation. It's a wrong concept. And I'm going to show you today. When you go to chapter 33, verse 38, as a matter of fact, Prophet Muhammad was only following the Sunnah of God. Only. He wasn't following the Sunnah of Muhammad. No, he doesn't have any as such. So I'm going to show you the evidence. Chapter 33, then we go to verse 38. Chapter 33, verse 38. Let's see the evidence. What God says concerning Sunnah. He says, Ma kana ala nabiyyi. You can see he's talking about the prophet, not the messenger. Ma kana ala nabiyyi min harajin fi ma faradallahu lahu. Listen carefully. Ma kana ala nabiyyi min haraj fi ma faradallahu lahu. Sunnatallahi fi allazina khalahu min qabl. Wa kana amrullahi qadaran maqdura. There is no guilt upon the prophet concerning what God has ordained for him. Then God will say, what? Such is the Sunnah of God. That is the tradition of God, not the Sunnah of Muhammad. What God has ordained for him to do is the Sunnah of God, not the Sunnah of Muhammad. And I'm going to show you in the Quran what God has made farad for him. Please, you need to study. That is the secret. Just study. The scholars cannot deviate you. Wallahi lazim. Wallahi. No scholar out there who belongs to a sector, wallahi, can match me one-on-one on a dialogue. Unless they can be proud of their fusha they went to learn, fine. Be proud of that. But you meet me one-on-one, wallahi, you humble. I will humble you. Allah. Now, chapter 33, verse 38. There is no guilt upon the prophet concerning what God has ordained for him. Such is the tradition of God, and I'm among those who passed before. So all the prophets, they follow the Sunnah of God, not the Sunnah of anybody. And the command of God is a decreed feat. When God commands you to do something, it must be done. So now what did God ordain for him? The question is, what did God ordain for Muhammad alayhi salam? Let's go and see the answer. I take you to chapter 28, verse 85. Surah Al-Qasas. Chapter 28, verse 85 to verse 86. Let's see what God has ordained for the Prophet. It's simple. So chapter 28, verse 85 says, Inna allazi farada alayka al-Qur'an laradduka ila mad. Then he says, Kul rabbi alamu man ja'a bil huda wa man huwa fi dalalin mubin. Simple. Verse 86. Ma kunta tarju an yulka ilayka al-kitab illa rahmatan min rabbik. Fala takununanna zahiran lil kafirin. Now, chapter 28, verse 85 to 86. Listen carefully what God has ordained for the Prophet. Indeed, the one who has ordained and joined the Quran on you, Muhammad alayhi salam, will return you to a place of return. God didn't ordain Quran and the Hadith or Sunnah or any garbage the scholars are telling you. God ordained the Quran upon him, that is Muhammad, will return you to a place of return, that is Judgment Day. Say as a messenger, my Lord is aware of one who comes with the guidance and one who is in clear error. Verse 86, and you were not expecting that the book will be delivered to you, but it is a mercy from your Lord, so do not be an assistant to the disbelievers. Muhammad was never expecting the Quran to be given to him. So God says, but it is a what? A mercy, rahmatan min rabbik. Now, we have seen what God has ordained for him. So you tell me that Muhammad is following now the Quran and that is Sunnah. You call that Sunnah of Muhammad? He is following the Sunnah of God. God has ordained the Quran for him to follow. This is what he did to other prophets. Abraham, Isa, Moses, all were ordained with the book to follow. That is the Sunnah of God. It doesn't become the Sunnah of Muhammad. You get the point. That is Sunnatullahi. Now, when you go to chapter 50, verse 45, listen what God told the Prophet concerning the Quran. He gave him the Quran, and this is what he told him to do with the Quran. Chapter 50, verse 45. This is sound and clear, and I don't see why it should be a problem for the scholars to understand how simple the word of God is. Chapter 50, verse 45. God says what? Nanu alamu bima yakulun. Wama anta alayhim bijabbar. Then he says, Fazakir bil Quran man yakhafu wa'id. We are aware of what they say, and you are not a dictator over them. You, Muhammad, you don't dictate for them. No. So remind by the Quran whoever fears my threat. They didn't say he should remind you by his Sunnah. Which Sunnah? Which Sunnah? God only ordained the Quran to him. So God says you are not a dictator for them. He does not dictate for you what to do. He's been given an assignment. That is to remind to you by the Quran. He used the book of God and remind you that is the Sunnah of God. Where does this garbage Sunnah of Muhammad come from? That you are lying to yourself. What is the Sunnah to Nabi? Who gave you that? This is the book of God. You claim you have knowledge. Come out, let's sit down. And open the book of and show us where he says he gave you some jumbles you are forming for yourself saying Sunnah to Nabi. Now, so we can see where God is telling us that prophets should use the book and remind the people with it. Not to use Sahih Bukhari or any garbages they are telling you. No. Now, apart from that, now let's go and see what Muhammad himself told the people concerning the Quran. Chapter 6, verse 19. Chapter 6, verse 19. Let's see what Muhammad himself said concerning the Quran. Suratul An'am. This is what he said. When you go in the surah, it is talking about the witness between him and the people. So he says, Kul ayyu shay'in akbaru shahadat. Then he says, Kulillahu shahidu bayni wa baynakum wa uhiya ilayya hadha al-Qur'an li unzirakum bihi wa man balag. Say, what at all is greater in testimony? Say, God is a witness between me and you, that this Quran has been inspired to me in order to warn you by it and whoever it may reach. So Muhammad didn't say hadith of Sahih Bukhari or any jumbles out there, or his Sunnah of Muhammad was inspired to him to warn you. No. He's been asked to use the Quran to warn you and whomever it may reach. The same Quran was inspired to him to remind you with it, to warn you by it, and to recite to you. So let's see the evidences on what he himself said. Apart from that, you go to chapter 27, verse 91 to 92, Surah Al-Naml. Chapter 27, verse 91 to 92. Let's see what it says. When you go in the verse where it says, Innama umirtu an a'buda rabba hazil baldati lazi harramaha walau kulla shay'in. Now, this is the important part. Wa umirtu an akuna min al-muslimin. Not among the Shia, not among the Sunnah, not among the Tariqah, not among the Ahmadiyya. Wa umirtu an akuna min al-muslimin. I've been commanded to be among the Muslims. Then he says what? Wa an atlul Quran, and to recite the Quran, not to recite any hadith to you, not to recite Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim, no. Wa an atlul Quran, and to recite the Quran. He has been ordained to do all this, right? And then he says what? فَمَنْ انْتَدَى فَإِنَّمَا يَعْتَدِي لِنَفْسِهِ. And whoever is guided, then he is only guided for himself, because at the end of the day, I go 6 feet, you go 6 feet. We are on our own. I don't do my work and come and take your salary. No, I do my work and get my salary. You do your work, you get your salary. If you want, follow it. If you don't want, go your way. Nobody is forcing you. So whoever is guided, then he is only guided for himself. And whoever is misguided, then say, I am only one of the warners. Simple. Just warning, he goes his way. He is not a dictator over you. Chapter 6, verse 107. Go and check. Muhammad can never be your wakil, neither can he be a dictator for you. Neither can he be any support for you. No. Now, so we can see the evidences that Muhammad himself, alayhi salam, talking from the Quran, he told you that he's been inspired to recite the Quran to you, to warn you by the Quran. And then we go to chapter 17, verse 45 to verse 46. Let's see what Muhammad does to his people. Which book did he read to the people? Did he read Sahih Bukhari? Or did he read any other jumbles, garbages they are telling you? No. He only read the Quran to his people. So let's see. Chapter 17, verse 45. It says, وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا وَجَعَلْنَا عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ أَكِنَّةً أَنْ يَفْقَهُوا وَفِي آذَانِهِمْ وَقْرًا وَإِذَا ذَكَرْتَ رَبَّكَ فِي الْقُرْآنِ وَحْدَهُ وَلَّوْا عَلَى أَدْبَارِهِمْ نُفُورًا. And whenever you read the Quran, listen carefully. And whenever you, Muhammad, that's why it says qara'ata, is talking to a second person pronoun. Whenever you read the Quran, we place a concealed partition between you and those who do not believe in the hereafter. Verse 46, it says, and we place coverings over their hearts lest they comprehend it, and deafness in their ears. And when you mention your Lord in the Quran alone, they turn away on their backs in aversion. Just like when I'm doing my lectures, when the Sunnis come and see me, they are angry. When the Shia sees me, he's angry. When the Ahmadiyya sees me, he's angry. When the Tariqah to Tijaniya, some of them, not all of them, see me, they are angry. You get the point, because I'm not using Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim or Jami at-Tirmidhi or Abu Dawood or whatever they have out there. You get the problem. So it didn't start from me. Even Muhammad alayhi salam at his time, when he read the Quran, some of his people didn't like it. So how much more now? You get the point? Good. So we can see Muhammad alayhi salam read the Quran only as a prophet to the people, nothing else.